Holocaust survivor Ed Mosberg may be 92 years old, but it only takes him a moment to transport to the agony he endured as a 13-year-old.
We'll never forget. Okay? That's all I can tell you.
1 minute, he is a teenager, one of 3 children, living well in Krakow, Poland.
We had everything.
The next, his world is turned upside down. His father murdered, the rest of his family sent to the Krakow ghetto, one of 5 forced resettlement locations of Jews in Poland under Nazi occupation.
And we were there with my mother, my 2 sisters, my grandparents, my aunt with her 2 children, my other aunt with 1 child. But we were together.
His memories of life in the ghetto are crisp, vivid.
So if a mother was holding a child in the arms, they ripped the child out of mother's arm and smashed the head against the concrete wall to kill the child instantly. They lined up the Jews from the hospital and they said to them, they took away their canes and their crutches and they said, if you can go to the other side of the square, you will be able to live. Those poor people, they were crawling on their hands and knees to get to the other side, but then they were all shot. So I was there.
Yeah.
I saw it.
He saw it, but Nazis also forced him to participate in their torture.
They make me search the bodies for the money, and they pocketed it.
Over time, Ed's family was slowly, systematically ripped apart, sent to camps across Nazi-occupied Europe. To this day, he doesn't know what happened to his grandparents.
Do you remember the last time that you saw them?
Yes.
Did you know it was going to be the last time that you saw them?
No. It was in ghetto when they took him away. I didn't realize what happened.
Soon, Ed was sent to Plaszow concentration camp, where he worked in the office of Amon Geth, the commandant of the camp.
Amon Geth walked into the office. Everybody had to stand up.
Ed had many close encounters with death throughout the Holocaust.
I was hoping that they kill me, because once you are dead, you don't feel the pain, and I felt it. But I'm here. I'm here to talk about it.
He's here to talk about his experience, but also about the lives of those he loved most, his parents and sisters.
There are my parents. There was a picture of my sister, Halina, Carolina, and that's me here.
All who died tragic, painful, unnecessary deaths.
One night, they lined up about 7,000 women, lining up alongside the Baltic Sea, and they shot them with the machine guns, and the next day was the liberation.
His only sisters were among that 7,000.
Let's say here, I will never forget and I will never forgive.
He lives that pain every day, from the moment he opens his eyes in the morning to the moment he closes his eyes at night.
Go to sleep in the night, I stay and look at it. Because I never forgot how they look.
Instantly, once again, he's that 13-year-old boy ripped from his family's arms. Ed travels regularly to the March of the Living, an annual education program across Poland and Israel to commemorate Holocaust Remembrance Day. Every year, he goes through the same routine, packing a special Torah scroll that he carries on the march, packing a replica of a whip he was brutally beaten with, packing his concentration camp uniform. All of these symbolic pieces for the same purpose.
Why did you want to save it all these years?
Why? Mm-hmm. Because you was not born so early that I could not show it to you. So I waited till you are now here that I can show you something like this existed. Because people have to know this is the evidence.
Except this year, it's a little different. It's just a little more important.
I'm 92 years old. I went just recently to 4 surgery on cancer. Now I'm chemotherapy. This is why it's important for me that I can talk as long as I can.
It's one thing to share his story at home. It's another to share in a place that's brought him such personal pain. His mother was murdered in Auschwitz.
She was killed there, crematorium number 5.
He wanted to pass on his story to anyone who will listen, especially his granddaughter, Jordana.
I'm very proud that Jordana is coming in here and she can wear my wife's
uniform.
Jordana marches in her grandmother's uniform because she's too sick to attend. She says the march has had such an impact on her, in part because of the effect it has on her dziadzio, or grandfather in Polish.
Because when he walks in, he's a different person. He gets all shaky and starts crying, very emotional.
She can also feel the burden he does, and she's there to shoulder it. Because Ed bears the pain not only of sharing the loss of his entire family, but his wife's as well.
I'm going to tell him what happened to you sisters, what happened to you brothers, okay? My wife saw when they were pulling her mother by the leg and put on fire to burn her.
Thank God she survived. We married over 70 years ago and created a beautiful life.
So he tells their stories, and by proxy, the story of millions. Those of the people he remembers.
He was shot in front of my wife. This guy married this woman.
And those of people he never knew in painful detail.
This smell never left me. I always smell it.
Because these unspeakable acts of hate have had a lasting impact on this family.
My children do not know what is to have an aunt, uncle, cousin, or a grandmother.
And while his pain is so palpable, his daughter Caroline says his strength is immeasurable.
My dad is a superhuman. My dad's 92, but he thinks he's 19. He doesn't give up. He's a very strong physically, but he's stronger emotionally.
So for as long as he can, Ed Mosberg will tell his stories.
My family that got murdered is not forgotten. This is the whole of my life.